And this week's BlizzPro Weekly, BlizzPro's Year in Review. Hey everybody, welcome to the newest BlizzPro Weekly. I know you missed us. There's been some busy schedules after BlizzCon and then holidays. And so that's the first thing to apologize for. Second thing is this is also going to be the last episode this year with, jobs and more holidays, and basically from now until the end of the year, Blizzard really traditionally doesn't really announce much anyway, so there's not much to talk about. So, until next year, this is what you get. We're going to go right down the Year in Review 2014. So let's start at the beginning. It is always a good place to begin. Hearthstone Open Beta hit January 21st. JR's prediction was spot on. Now, this is the only date JR had absolutely 100% correct in his predictions. But honestly, predicting dates can be really tough the farther out the date is. So, pretty impressive nonetheless. March 11th. Hearthstone officially released. So while it was the official launch, in reality the open beta might as well have been, since it was, it's a free-to-play game and nothing was wiped when they officially released. So this was the hard opening March 11th. Then March 25th, Reaper of Souls was officially released for the PC, Diablo 3's expansion. Now, we knew about this date in 2013, but this was the second game of 2014 that Blizzard released. That was pretty awesome. April 3rd. Warlords of Draenor entered alpha. Now, the press, Twitch streamers, and certain friends and family were invited into this with no NDA. So the first time WoW had ever had an alpha that was sort of, public. Then April 11th, Hearthstone's adventure mode, Curse of Naxxramas, was announced at PAX East. 1 year after the official announcing and unveiling of Hearthstone at the previous PAX East. They were back at it again. This time announcing the first card expansion for the game, which would be gathered by beating AI bosses from an old WoW raid, along with some class challenges. Then April 16th, Hearthstone was released for the iPad. Hearthstone officially entered the mobile market, and 20 million players worldwide, some of those may have been bots, but, they enjoyed playing their favorite digital card game while on the bus. Or the shitter. Whatever. It's all good. Good way to pass the time, have a little fun. June 27th, Warlords of Draenor entered beta. Now, in this case, JR's prediction was way off. He had originally predicted January 29th, but it seems production for the game was delayed quite heavily, but it ended up paying off for the team in the long run. We'll get to that later. July 22nd, Hearthstone released Naxxramas, officially. Curse of Naxxramas, the first adventure mode. Now, he predicted the first expansion to be June 24th, so he was about a month off. He also predicted spectator mode with this one, but we didn't get that till later. July 26th, Warcraft movie teaser was shown at San Diego Comic-Con. Once again, as Blizzard is so good at, still, you cannot find that trailer on the internet. It's not a thing. August 14th, Blizzard held a theater event for the Warlords cinematic premiere. The most amazing Blizzard cinematic to date in terms of realism. Pretty good stuff. August 19th, Diablo 3 Ultimate Evil Edition came to PS4, Xbox One, PS3, and Xbox 360. Now, JR had predicted April 22nd, off by only 3 days. Pretty damn good. August 26th, Reaper of Souls patch 2.1 released for PC, which brought a ladder system and Paragon 2.0 to the game. Diablo fans finally got what they'd wanted for over 2 years. September 24th, Blizzard officially canceled Titan. Now, Chris Metzen and Mike Morhaime had an interview about it and revealed that it was an overly ambitious project, just didn't feel right in the direction it was going. It wasn't fun. In years of working on it, and who knows how much money they spent on it, they shut down their next-gen MMO for good. Now, we speculated the announcement was made so it wouldn't bog down something like a big Blizzard announcement at BlizzCon, and we were dead on. Speaking of which, November 7th and 8th was BlizzCon. Now, funny prediction, JR had predicted BlizzCon would be October 24th and 25th, so he was about 2 weeks off, but still. All right, you ready for this bevy of announcements that JR just nailed? Legacy of the Void was officially announced. JR predicted this correctly. No release date announced yet. Major Hearthstone WCS tournament, which JR also correctly predicted. Firebat walked away with $100,000 by winning the first World Hearthstone tournament at BlizzCon. Hearthstone's second expansion was announced, as JR predicted. It is Goblins versus Gnomes, and it is playable by the time you watch this right now. Overwatch was announced. Now, JR predicted an FPS game would get announced in 2014 at Gamescom, but it ended up being BlizzCon. So he was close. Now, Blizzard has entered the FPS genre with a Team Fortress 2 style game and introduced it to the world in a Pixar-style opening cinematic. It is slated to be released in 2015. Heroes of the Storm beta date announced as January 13th, 2014. Now, JR predicted the beta to start March 5th, 2014, with open beta July 15th, 2014, so he was just totally way off base with this whole thing. The Warcraft trailer was shown at BlizzCon with some additional footage, and it's awesome! And sorry for all of you who didn't get to go or get the pass, it's still nowhere to be found on the internet. Now, a misprediction here. There was no new WoW expansion announced. Now, a close prediction, as we would hear, was that we would hear about Titan possibly a cancellation, but of course, as we said, they canceled it a couple months earlier instead. November 13th. Warlords of Draenor releases. JR predicted May 29th, which was way off. But anyway, it's a massive success. WoW now is back up over 10 million subscribers. This is probably the biggest expansion in WoW's 10-year history in terms of sheer numbers sold on day one. All right, now some funky time warp time. You ready for this? Now, so we're filming this on December 7th. By the time you see this, it'll be past tense, so future past. December 8th. Hearthstone, Goblins vs. Gnomes expansion released. 123 brand new, spanking new cards, bringing all kinds of randomness to the game and freshening things up quite a bit. And then the last thing that's going to be a little bit ahead, we don't know exactly when, but it is this month. The Android tablet version of Hearthstone is supposed to be released this year. Now, let's look ahead. 2015, what's coming up? Now, we know January 13th, Heroes of the Storm beta, Overwatch beta released. These things are happening. It's already announced, so this doesn't count as a prediction. We are predicting a release to happen summer 2015. Warcraft movie trailer for the public. We'll probably see this sometime in March or maybe April. 2 new Hearthstone expansions. This is a big prediction from us. We're figuring, once again, they're going to announce one at PAX East and one at BlizzCon. With the success of Naxxramas and the current hype around Goblins vs. Gnomes, very likely we'll see another adventure mode in 6 months, another full-blown expansion at the end of 2015. Overwatch beta. And we're expecting this to happen Q2 2015. Overwatch full release, Q4 2015. Now, Blizzard makes it sound like it's going to be sooner, but let's be honest. This is Blizzard. It'll be fucking done when it's fucking done. That's it. BlizzCon 2015 dates. It's quite possible Blizzard is going for sort of, more consistency since they have all these big esports events like WCS, so they want to get it on a more regular schedule. So we're expecting BlizzCon November 6th and 7th, 2015. But of course, once again, we want to tell Blizzard, please announce it as soon as possible so we can all take our days off work and plan our travel accordingly. The WoW expansion announced. We're expecting this next year. Probably at BlizzCon, probably Legion related, depending on what happens at the end of Warlords of Draenor. Diablo 3 expansion announcement. And the third installment of Diablo 3. Possibly made at Gamescom. Now, I'm actually going to contradict JR on this one. I personally don't expect another expansion of Diablo 3. I instead expect them to maybe start working on Diablo 4. But that's me. Maybe I'm wrong. I think the consensus tends to be that there's going to be an expansion. But to me, you don't call a game Ultimate Evil Edition unless it's the last, the end. Anyway, Legacy of the Void, beta/release date. All right, we're expecting new SC2 to be announced, officially making this the third game in 2015 to come out from Blizzard. Now, the biggest thing, the craziest thing, you ready for this? Will we hear about a new game in 2015? Another one. Michael Booth's game is still not announced, and he was hiring for it late in 2013. It's entirely possible we might hear about another new game for Blizzard come BlizzCon time. All right, now that does it for our show and for our year in review. Subscribe to us right here on YouTube, on iTunes, I'm all over the internet, Twitter, Facebook, Tumblr. I'm now a contributor for panels.net, all things good comic book stuff. I'm a Goodreads author. My book is available on Amazon, Nook, all over the place. If you have a question, email us, askthebeard@blizzpro.com. And of course, check out BlizzPro.com. All the news, reviews, interviews, everything you need to know about Blizzard Entertainment games. Until next year, stay beardy, my friends.